Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee and I use this channel to document ways that I am making my life more intentional. And hopefully watching me fumble my way through and document the way that I am doing so might help you find ways that you can incorporate things into your own life. You may have noticed we have hit the Burr months, September, October, November, and December. Welcome to one of my favorite times of the year. While I would consider myself a winter girly, I love winter, I definitely crave the autumn season and the coziness that it brings back into my daily routine and rituals. However, maybe you've noticed that autumn/fall seems to be getting celebrated earlier and earlier, and companies and their marketing tactics also start earlier and earlier because the autumn season is now highly marketable, and consumerism during the autumn season has skyrocketed in the past probably 5+ years. So it's not a new thing. It's not something that just started this season. In my low buy, no buy mentality when it comes to spending and in my approach to minimalism in general, autumn is one of the seasons that I am not willing to spend money on because my whole aim with the autumn season is to reintroduce coziness back into my home and into my daily routine and ritual, like I said before. And there's a way to do that without spending any money. And so I want to share 15 ways that you can be a lover and a consumer of the autumn season without spending big dollars in order to do so. So the first couple of ways are different types of media that I notice a shift in when the autumn season comes around. Firstly, I can notice the types of video games that I pick up. I would consider myself a cozy gamer. I love spending some time on the Nintendo Switch or the Xbox and playing a cozy game. But the cozy games that I'm drawn to in autumn are significantly different than the games that I'm drawn to the rest of the year. So whenever we hit September and there's a little bit more of a breeze in the air and the mornings are cooler, I notice that I start to revisit games that I haven't picked up since the previous autumn. I also notice that the books that I read start to shift and change. I actually noticed that I stopped in the middle of a couple of books, which is not something that I typically do, to pick up some more autumnal feeling books once we hit September. And if you're an autumn person, you know what that vibe is. You're drawn to the vibe, okay? So I'm gonna be saying that a lot. I'm gonna say it feels like fall, it feels like autumn, or the vibe is like autumn, because if you love this seasonal change, you know what it means. So I pick up very different books this time of year. I like to read seasonally. There's not necessarily specific authors or genres that fall into those seasons or anything that I stick to. I just notice what I pick up in each season is drastically different than the season before it. And autumn and winter are two of my favorite reading seasons for me, just because they are books that sit on my shelf and I look at in spring and summer and I want to read them, but I'm like, oh, I can't, I gotta wait until the weather and the season reflects the vibe that I feel is going to be in this book. Another type of media that I see change in my daily routine is the music that I listen to. I am much more willing to put a record on our record player and listen to music that way versus through my laptop or phone when I'm at home. And the playlists that I play in my car and when I'm at work drastically shift and go to a little bit more of a slower, more old school type music. And what I mean by that is think like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, Ella Fitzgerald. Those voices are the voices of autumn and also winter, but are the voices that I bring back into my life in the autumn season, because hearing each instrument and the way that music was crafted then versus a lot of things that are being put out now is just different. And so it feels slower and more intentional. And naturally, I find myself picking those things over other music that I also love. I just don't listen to once the autumn season comes around. The final kind of media category are movies and TV shows. I have a running list of movies that I revisit in the autumn season. I don't necessarily rewatch all of them every year, but it's a list that I go to find something that fits, again, just the slower, cozier feeling of the autumn season. Autumn is all about slowing down and releasing and letting go. The leaves are doing it on the trees. They are releasing themselves from the branches and falling, and we can do the same thing. There are things that we can release. There are things that we can recultivate that we haven't cultivated since the previous autumn, and slowness and intentionality is a great thing to start incorporating it. If you haven't found a way to earlier in the year, now is a really great time to do it. And even in revisiting movies and TV shows, there are shows that I will rewatch that came out in the early 2000s or the late 90s because everything was slower. There were also less things coming out, so they feel a lot more unique, and they have this sense of nostalgia that I want to feel when autumn comes back around. And as a side note, next Monday, I'm going to be putting out a video with some media recommendations to visit in the autumnal season. So keep a lookout for that video next week. While I'm reading an autumnal book or playing a cozy game, I like to put on an ambient video. Even when I'm working, honestly, I like to put on an ambient video. So I will open YouTube on a screen that I'm not using, or even just kind of have in the background of my laptop if I'm at the office, with a video of some sort of autumnal visual, and then maybe some jazz music or lo-fi music playing softly in the background, or even just one that has some rain sounds or normal background noise that you might hear at a coffee shop or something like that. So I like to bring those on. They often also have quite a warm glow to them. So if it's on the TV, it adds a bit of lighting and helps create ambiance in the room. And the other thing that I like to pair with an ambient video is lighting. The lighting that you have in your home can really change the way that you feel in your home. We have tons of lamps in our house, so that we never have to use the big lights. I hate using big lights. It's overstimulating and overwhelming a lot of the time. So having lamps on throughout the house just creates a much calmer feeling internally for me and externally in our space. The one area that we don't have a lamp that I would like to get a lamp, actually two areas, is in our bathroom and in our kitchen. I've never had a lamp in my bathroom or my kitchen, but I moved our desk lamp into the kitchen the other night when I was cooking just to see if it was enough light, and it was very cozy, and I would like to experience that more frequently. Some other ways to celebrate autumn or romanticize fall is to create a Pinterest board where you can pin different things that feel like autumn to you. And what I like to do is I like to revisit that Pinterest board every year, take things off that no longer excite me the same way that they did maybe in previous years, or I get to revisit things that I had forgotten about since last autumn, different quotes or books or pictures. The other thing that I like to do with the Pinterest board is then take some of those pictures and quotes and go into Canva and look up a phone or a laptop background template and create a new phone background or computer background to fit with the autumn season. But it's just a way, again, to bring a little something special to something that you're used to looking at every day. Our phone background, our computer background is something that we get so used to that when we change it, we notice it more. And that creates a little bit of intention when we open our phone or open our computer to notice what we're looking at before we just open a tab or open an app. It creates a little bit of a pause place, if you will. Something else that you can do that is typically quite routine for a lot of us is change up the type of tea that you're drinking or the way that you're making your tea or coffee. There are some autumnal teas that I really, really love from a couple of different places, and I save them for the autumn and winter season because of, again, the feeling that they elicit when I drink them. And I change up the way that I make my decaf coffee by adding some cinnamon, nutmeg, or pumpkin spice to the grounds before I brew the coffee, and then also either making a homemade pumpkin spice creamer or picking up one from the grocery store. So yes, are you technically spending money with that one? Sure. But if you are already spending money on tea or coffee, just change the product that you're buying for the autumn season. Something that I did today for the first time is change my makeup to be a little bit more autumn appropriate. I am a very minimalist makeup person. I actually just posted my minimalist makeup collection if you want to go give that a watch. But when it comes to what I wear every day, I typically wear the same products and do the same routine that only takes me 5 or 6 minutes to do. However, today I wanted to put not even more effort in, but I wanted to feel like I was shifting something in my routine to feel more autumnal. And I did all of that with products that I already own. I either just added more than I typically wear or a deeper shade of something that I typically wear. I didn't have to buy anything. There was no new product that spurred this on. It was just let me see and play with what I already own to make it feel a little bit more autumnal. You can also do that with the clothing that you're wearing. I like to switch my wardrobe over 2 times a year, typically in March and in September. It is still very hot outside where I live. And even though it feels a little bit too soon, I'm honestly considering doing it tomorrow because I'm starting to hate the clothes in my wardrobe. I'm getting the itch to go shopping. And because I have not looked in the container that my fall and winter clothes are in since March, it will feel like shopping to pull those things out, and it will kind of reinvigorate my relationship to my clothing. So I highly, highly, highly recommend putting your clothes away, even if you have the space to house all of your clothing. It signifies something to your body, your brain, when you intentionally put things away and don't go for them for like 6 months and then go back to them. It creates more of an appreciation for your clothing, and it helps kind of scratch the itch of wanting something new or to go shopping. So I'm excited to do that because I have been wanting to shop and I need to not. So I get to shop my own clothes that I haven't seen since March very soon. Something else that I like to do every season, but I get most excited about in the autumn season, is to eat seasonally. What produce, vegetables, fruit are in season that you can pick up from local farmers at a farmer's market, which are typically popping up all over the place during autumn, or a local corner store, something like that. Even if you can't, even at a big box store like something like Costco or your grocery store like Trader Joe's, Kroger, Publix, wherever you shop. I know Kroger and Publix are very specific to the Southeast United States, but whatever your grocery store is, you can still look up what produce is in season and try and gravitate towards those things to create meals around. I noticed when doing my budgeting videos actually that we spent way more on eating out in the summer months than any other time of the year. And I was trying to think of why that was, because we are not extremely social people. We're not leaving the house all that often. And we haven't been traveling all that much that would elicit needing to eat out during the summer. And what I realized this year was it is too hot for me to want to put on the stove or turn on the oven for hours on end to cook a meal if I don't have to create more heat in our tiny apartment. It's much easier and much more convenient to go out and grab something. So when it starts getting cooler, there is nothing I love more than opening the windows and being in the kitchen for hours on end, creating different recipes. That joy of cooking comes back to me every autumn season. I'm in it right now and I am loving it. So a lot of those things so far have been how to create cozy in the home. Now, these are going to be some things that you can do outside of the home to get into the autumn season outside. I know that soon it's going to start getting dark earlier, and so we are kind of driven to want to be in the house more. But if you can go out on a crisp autumn morning or even later into the afternoon and evening, here are some things that you can do. The first thing is to take one of your autumn reads and go to a park. You can go to the dog park if you have a pup. You could go to a brewery that has a big outdoor area. You could go and sit on a bench in a little downtown area if you're in a city. It allows you to do an activity that you may have been doing in your home anyways, like reading, and doing it outside to really experience the sun being in a different place than it was 4 weeks ago on a Thursday at 4 p.m., or to hear the rustling of the leaves as the wind starts picking up. All of those things start to shift and change, and if we aren't spending any time outside, we can miss it. So I don't want you to miss it. I want you to go out into it. Another thing that you can do is to walk around a place that has a lot of trees that change colors in the autumn season, or even just taking a drive with the windows down through an area that is very wooded. It's beautiful and it's well worth your time. I also really like to get out and go to the library. I enjoy going to the library all of the time, but in the autumn season, I find myself going to the library not just to peruse the books, but to find a table or something in front of a window to work or read from the library. I've even just taken a book that I own and gone to the library to read. Our library is situated on a hill and it has a lot of trees around it. So out of a lot of the windows, you can see the changing of the season. You can experience a little bit of a darker, moodier landscape through the windows of the library. We also have a little outdoor area that you can go to from our library. And so if it's nice and cool and breezy, it's also great to sit out there. So I always love our library, but I especially love the library in the fall. The last recommendation is to go to a pumpkin patch. It is a quintessential fall activity, at least here in the States. Going to a pumpkin patch is like ultimate fall. And a lot of pumpkin patches are free to enter. You only have to pay for something if you purchase a pumpkin or purchase other products. So we have a pumpkin patch that I'm very excited to go to up in Dawsonville, Georgia. It's called Bert's Pumpkin Patch. If you're in the Atlanta or Chattanooga area, you probably heard about it. But it's free to go to, and then you just have to pay for the pumpkins that you get or the products that you buy. But instead of going and purchasing anything, I like to go and take my phone or my camera and get photos of myself and my partner, get pictures of my dog with the pumpkins, and it creates this fall memory without having to put a price tag on it. So instead of going and buying a bunch of pumpkins that I don't know what to do with beyond getting excited over having them, we go and we get pictures of the pumpkins with the pumpkins, whatever. And then those pictures can then be incorporated into your autumnal phone or computer background. And it just creates a fall experience and a fall memory without having to purchase anything. So it's something that I've been very passionate about in my own life without even totally being aware of it for a very long time. But this year I am especially passionate about creating cozy without the consumerism, because the autumn season has been marketed so well that we kind of lose what the autumn season is actually all about. Autumn is all about bringing coziness back in, letting other things go, creating space, creating intentionality, slowing down. And if we're hyper consumerists or we are pulled in by all of these marketing tactics, it does the exact opposite of what the autumn season literally does for us. If you slow down and watch how nature adapts and shifts during the season changes, I would encourage you to use it as a mirror for ways that you can start shifting and adapting in your own life. Because the closer that our lives align with the shifting and changing of the nature around us, the more aligned and grounded we can feel in our own life. It sounds woo-woo, but hear me out. There's something to it. There's something to this being true every single year, every single season. The shifts and changes are kind of the same. And so if we can align with that, it helps create a lot more intentionality in the way that we're approaching life too. So if you would like to join me in romanticizing the autumn season, but without the consumerism, I hope that you will do a couple of these things. If there are other free or low budget ideas that you have that you do every autumn season, I would love for you to leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you next week for some autumnal media recommendations. Until next time.